Gentrification is a concept that negatively affects various communities all around the United States. However, there are certain actions that can be taken in hopes of lessening the severity of the problem. Researchers at UC Berkeley's Urban Displacement Project said that gentrification is a process of neighborhood change that includes economic change in a historically disinvested neighborhood by means of real estate investment and new higher income residents moving in, as well as demographic change, not only in terms of income level, but also in terms of changes in the education level or racial makeup of residents. Causa Justa is an organization based in the Bay Area that have been fighting gentrification along with many issues going on. Their mission is to have the right to be the change in the city with the people who originally have established homes and communities in the city, as well as bringing in revenue and jobs for the community to uplift themselves. One major accomplishment Causa Justa achieved was passing Measure JJ Protect Oakland Renters. This measure requires landlords to petition with the rent board for rent increases that exceed the consumer price index. Today, illegal rent increases can only be stopped if a tenant files a petition within 60 days. Landlords are not otherwise responsible for following the law. To assess how gentrification has reshaped urban neighborhoods, Governing analyzed demographic data for the nation's 50 most populous cities. Changes in several measures described below were calculated for each city's census tracts and compared to others throughout metro areas. Gentrification remains rare nationally. It did, however, greatly accelerate in many cities over the past decade. The following table summarizes the extent to which neighborhoods in Oakland, California gentrified. From 1990 to 2000, the total number of tracts on the census was 113. In those 10 years, 2.7 of tracts were eligible for gentrification. 2 were gentrified, 73 did not gentrify, and 38 were not eligible for gentrification. On the screen, you can see 2 dark areas on the map. Those are areas that were gentrified in northwest Oakland area. The lighter gray area and more towards the hill is areas that cannot be gentrified due to the wealth by the people in that area. And more towards the flatlands in East Oakland and North Oakland, you can see the areas have not been gentrified yet. Since 2000, 29.3% of tracts were eligible for gentrification. 24 tracts were gentrified, 58 did not gentrify, 31 were not eligible to gentrify, and in total, 113 total census tracts were viewed. The dark blue areas are the places that have been gentrified, while the lighter grayish blue looking areas is the places that had not been gentrified, and the light gray is the area that is not eligible for gentrification because of the location, and it is where all the wealthy people live. According to Ballotpedia, the following impartial analysis of the measure was prepared by the Office of the Oakland City Attorney. The Just Cause for Eviction Ordinance, also referred to as Measure Y or Measure EE, generally prohibits landlords from evicting tenants from residential rental units covered by the ordinance without specified just cause grounds. This measure would remove the exemption for owner-occupied duplexes and triplexes and make the ordinance applicable to units in those properties. This measure would authorize the City Council to amend the ordinance to add additional limitation on a landlord's right to evict without voter approval. This measure also would remove provisions of the ordinance that a court decision invalidated. Currently, the ordinance does not apply to owner-occupied duplexes or triplexes if the occupying owner has at least a one-third interest in the property because such units are exempt from the ordinance. This measure would add an owner-occupied duplexes and triplexes to the units that are covered by the Just Cause for Eviction ordinance. This change in the law would apply to units that are currently exempt to any future duplexes and triplexes when one of the units becomes owner occupied. As a result, this measure would require that landlords in owner occupied duplexes and triplexes have just cause to evict tenants and comply with relocation requirements when they evict for owner move in or repairs, unless some other exemption applies. Because the Oakland voters adopted the just cause for eviction ordinance, they must approve any change to the ordinance. The ordinance specifies just cause grounds for eviction and provides additional prerequisites to evictions, such as providing proper notice. This measure would allow the City Council, without returning to the voters, to amend the ordinance to add additional limitations on a landlord's right to evict, mandating compliance with certain rules and standards such as but not limited to, providing a proper notice. This amendment would not allow the City Council to create new exemptions from the ordinance or modify existing exemptions or create new just cause grounds for eviction. Amendments delete invalidated provisions and authorize City Council to amend the ordinance to comply with changes in law or court invalidation of provisions. This measure would delete the ordinance provisions that the Alameda County Superior Court invalidated in 2006. This measure would also authorize the City Council to amend the ordinance to delete provisions that the courts invalidate and to comply with future changes in state or federal law. The Oakland City Council placed this measure on the ballot. A yes vote for the measure will approve the ordinance amendments described above. A no vote will reject the amendments. A majority vote, i.e., more than 50% of the votes cast, is required for passage. Today, although gentrification worries many Oakland natives on a day-to-day basis, the communities still come together to make Oakland a better and safer place.
We need highlights for a nightlight. We need glory for a while. We want results. We want results. Hit our families, hit our folks, bombs bursting in air. Oh, say, can you see America face? We share a pair of parents, took good care of the place. We just want narrators to pick up the narrative's pace. Put on a show for us, float for us, make it easy, make some mo for us. Save the day. We want a W, we tired of picking different sides. I got your jersey, just a different size. We all want you to be a buzzer beater. Find us a leader far from Silent Bobs and Cousin Skeeters. Through the perilous fight, want you to be brave. We want us a hero, we need a teammate. People, people, we the people would like you to know that wherever you go, we're right by your side. People, people, we the people would like you to know that wherever you go, we're right by your side.